We're on Season 1, Episode 6 of The Twilight Zone. This one's called Escape Clause. And it stars 40-year-old Walter Bedecker, who's a hypochondriac that gets immortality. And what he does with this immortality, you're not going to be able to guess, because it's, well, he acts kind of dumb, but we'll get to that in the end. Not something I would do with my immortality, or anyone with half a brain. So it starts with Rod Serling's opening narration, which I would love to play, but they keep hitting me with copyright, so I'll just have to read it. We're about to meet a hypochondriac. Witness, Mr. Walter Bedecker. Age, 44. Afraid of the following: death, disease, other people, germs, draft, and everything else. He has one interest in life, and that's Walter Bedecker. One preoccupation: the life and well-being of Walter Bedecker. One abiding concern about society: that if Walter Bedecker should die, how will it survive without him? And I love these narrations. I'm not sure why other anthology shows don't do this, because even though it gives away the plot a bit, this does not go where you think it's going to go. It's setting him, the main character, up as being very, very selfish, which he is, and enticing you enough to watch the episode, but not giving away where it's going in the middle and the end. Often imitated, but never surpassed. I'll be covering the Guillermo del Toro Netflix series, Cabinet of Curiosities, and he also does an intro like this, but his are literally 30 seconds long, and he gives you no details, and yeah, he's just better behind the camera. But the Henry Rollins Anthology series, Night Visions, well, he doesn't do as good of a job as Rod Serling does either. It was hilarious when he comes into frame.
Shock jock Tom Fowler likes to scare his listeners.
Back to the episode Escape Clause. Main character Walter Bedecker is just very unlikable, and that can work if he gets his comeuppance, or if there's other characters to play off of. Tales from the Crypt constantly uses characters that are mean, but there's usually some amount of goofiness or motivation that makes them the way they are. Maybe they're criminals, so while they might be mean criminals, their motivation is money. Walter Bedecker spends the first one-third of this episode complaining, talking to his doctor about how he's scared of absolutely everything, and annoying his wife Ethel. So apparently there is a person that's listening to Walter Bedecker, and that's the devil, and he comes to meet him and gives him a deal. For his soul, well, he actually gives him immortality, which is a better deal than the devil usually makes. Usually the devil asks for your soul, gives you a few bucks, and then ends up screwing you in the end. He gives him immortality. This immortality actually works. So Mr. Bedecker, who was so scared of dying, now can no longer die. In the middle of this episode is the best part. He recreates scenes from Groundhog Day, where he begins to collect insurance money by being hit by cars. Remind me of a game I played, Saints Row 2, where you collect insurance being hit by cars. Since he can't die, he can just jump in front of these cars, get the insurance money, and he's completely fine. He also drinks poison, tries to throw himself off a roof. Since he can't die, nothing kills him. And he begins to grow very bored with this, just like in Groundhog Day. If you can't die, or if in Groundhog Day you're repeating the same day over and over again, you will look for bigger and bigger thrills. This part at least makes sense, but where it goes makes absolutely no sense. So he goes to throw himself off of his apartment rooftop and accidentally pushes his wife Ethel, and she ends up dying. So what does he do next? Feel remorse? No, this guy's a bit of a scumbag. He doesn't care at all. He calls the police. His theory is, because he's not able to kill himself, and he's getting tired of drinking poison and getting hit by cars, he wants to experience the electric chair. Even though it's not necessarily his fault that his wife fell off this building, he's going to take credit for this murder and get put into the electric chair. That's his theory. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. He's going to go to court, he's going to be in prison for a long time, and also, he probably won't get the electric chair. So I don't know if Rod Serling's supposed to be saying that Mr. Bedecker is just a moron, but that doesn't seem to be what he's saying. He's not making it clear that this is obviously a bad idea. And it just doesn't make sense. Throwing yourself in front of cars to collect insurance money, that makes sense. Looking for more and more thrilling ways to set yourself on fire, okay, some people might be into that. Personally, I assume he still feels some amount of pain, so I wouldn't set myself on fire. But he has all this money, he can't die, and rather than living a guilt-free life in this mansion, knowing nothing's going to kill you, he decides to purposely get himself thrown in prison on the hope that he can get an electric chair. Well, he has all this money. Why doesn't he just have someone make an electric chair for him and he could just shock himself like the Crypt Keeper does in Tales from the Crypt? It's just not the way anyone would actually act. You have millions of dollars from all these insurance schemes. Find a way to shock yourself if that's what you want to do. I mean, hell, take a fork and put it in an outlet. Find Area 51 and try to shock yourself on the electric fence. Come on, this is ridiculous. And because this is a deal with the devil, he does not get the electric chair. He gets life in prison for the murder of his wife, and that's how the episode ends. I think this is my least favorite so far. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. The middle is good, and when I was watching it halfway through and it was picking up and he was doing these insurance frauds, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. This is where this is going. But the beginning is boring, where he's just complaining in the bed, and then the ending is ridiculous. He purposely gets himself thrown in jail. Who the hell would do that? Just rotting in jail for years and years before you get the electric chair. I should have tapped him on the shoulder, handed him a fork, and said, hey, I can make you electrocute yourself. Get some jumper cables and just put them on his nipples and give him a little shock. Now, Walter Bedecker was played by David Wayne. He does an okay job. He was in the movie The Andromeda Strand, based on the Michael Crichton book, where he played Dr. Charles Dutton. And also, The Front Page, Adam's Rib, and How to Marry a Millionaire. He had quite a good career with 124 acting credits, and died at the age of 81 in 1995. Of course, since this episode is so old, almost all the actors have died unless they were little kids. Like in the last episode that featured Rod Howard. He's still alive. This episode was directed by Mitchell Layson, who directed movies like Death Takes a Holiday, The Mating Season, Remember the Night, Hold Back the Dawn, and 3 episodes of The Twilight Zone. Episode 4, The 16mm Shrine that we covered, and he'll direct episode 25 of season 1. People are like all over. Now let's look at some fun facts about this episode. Disney's Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, of course the Drop Tower in Disney World, has a reference to this episode. In the basement, the elevator has a plaque that says the last time the elevator was checked, it was checked on October 7th, 1959, the date the Twilight Zone first aired. It was checked by Mr. Cadwallader. And also, Escape Clause was one of the 3 episodes in production that was mentioned by Rod Serling in his 1959 promotional film pitching the series. Potential sponsors, the other being The Lonely, which will be the next episode after this, and Mr. Deaton on Doomsday, the Western one that we covered. This does make some sense. This does seem like an early development of Rod Serling, where he doesn't quite have his footing. While I think Mr. Deaton on Doomsday is better than this one, his writing will improve as we get deeper into the series. Sim, still trying to figure things out. And next up is an honest-to-God science fiction episode called The Lonely, where a murderer is sentenced to jail? No, he's sentenced to spend 50 years on an asteroid. And it's very interesting, and I love the real hard science fiction episodes. They don't do enough of them. And also check out our playlist for the other series that we've covered: Monsters, Fear Itself, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Tales from the Dark Side, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Pet Shop of Horrors, and Cowboy Bebop. Thanks a lot.